we like.
जिन राहों पे हम थे पले अनजान सी अब घूरे मुझे सीने में है कैसी कसक जा ना सकूं मैं अपने ही घर आवाज दे गलियां मुझे कब आओगे पूछे मुझे हवाओं में थी धमकियां गई चौराहे पे थी लिखी चेतावनी जिंदा न रह सकोगे रहे जो यहाँ खिड़कियों को तोड़ कर दिया ये बता दरवाजे पे लिख गया कोई जाओ यहाँ से छोड़ सभी असमंजस में थे परिवार सभी रुक जाए हम यहाँ या चल दे अभी रुकेंगे हम यहाँ जब तक है जान सभी ने मिलकर ये किया फैसला रात को ही जब सोए थे सभी बहा गया खून दरिंदा कोई चारों तरफ से खबरें मिली मर गए हैं लोग अपने देखो कई जिससे पहले कोई आए हमें मारने निकल लो यहाँ से फौरन छोड़ सभी अंधेरे में ही निकले सभी छुपते हुए पहुंचे बनिहाल भी
Last year, Kashmir had a population of 1,40,000 Hindus. In the last 6 months, more than 1 lakh Hindus have fled their homes, many with just their clothes on their backs. Several pockets of Hindu population like Happakala, Renawari and Karannagar have become ghost towns. There were numerous pressures that forced these Hindus to leave. Children had no schools to go to. Colleges were closed.
Namaskar Sarni. Welcome to koshurRAAG's much awaited event Catharsis, Decoding the Kashmir Files. The film has taken India and perhaps the world as well by storm. And the storm continues to rage as we speak, with no sign of slowing down. While this movie has enabled the indigenous Kashmiri Pandit population to have a cathartic outlet, the movie has done much beyond that. It has connected with the world audience at many different levels. For some, it's a lesson in his history, or a trip down the memory lane, or simply a documentary. Yet for others, it's also a déjà vu moment as they remember the atrocities faced by them or their community members during other indigenously related massacres, atrocities, genocides, etc. For some, it's even a voyeuristic trip down the lives of Kashmiri Pandits as they faced repeated atrocities. Yet for others, it's a lesson about what happens when society discards empathy for others and disowns humanism. Nevertheless, it's for these and more exceptional reasons that the movie has generated that we need to examine this on our own, and hence our event today, koshurRAAG's event, which is the Kashmir Files, Catharsis, Decoding the Movie. There is no other person better to decode this than our own very active activist of Kashmiri rights, and that is our Swapna Wali ji. And for that, I would take it to our MC for today. Please come on the screen, CP ji, Swapna ji, over to you.
Namaskar, everyone. Thank you, Pavneesh ji. Your song, Kab Aoge, based on a poem from your upcoming bilingual book, Ukre Ghar, Uprooted Homes. Thank you for the beautiful composition, Pavneesh ji. Musical score, if I believe, is by Anjali Raina. Special thanks to Karthik Kaul for generation of the track for the song. Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to koshurRAAG, Catharsis, Decoding the Kashmir Files. A couple of couplets I was reminded as you were singing the poem, Pavneesh ji, written beautifully by my friend Ruby Jain. उनसे पूछो जो लगे रहे कयामत डाने में, उनसे पूछो जो लगे रहे कयामत डाने में, और एक हम हैं जो बैठे थे दर्द दबाए सालों से. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's indeed a pleasure and honor to MC today's program for a topic that's very close to my heart. In today's program, we will meet people who have been closely associated with the making of the movie, and we will have the opportunity to talk about its overall impact post-release. Kashmir Files, hopefully by now all of us know, but if there are some who don't, it's a true story based on video interviews of the first generation victims of Kashmir genocide of the Kashmiri Pandit community, and has not only taken the nation of India by its hearts, but also many countries across the globe. I can relate it to the current situation in Ukraine and how this movie is even more relevant as it focuses on the uprooting of communities in their own land, persecution of communities, and rise of terrorism. Having said that, without further ado, I would like to welcome our first guest, Bhasha Sumbli ji. Bhasha ji, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, this morning, this evening, depending on wherever on the globe you are. Even though Bhasha ji, in her stellar performance in the role of Sharda Pandit, does not need any introduction, but I would still like to read out a few lines about Bhasha ji, born in Srinagar, so it will tell you that she is connected to the happenings in Kashmir and has faced it. Born in Srinagar, Bhasha Sumbli ji learned Kashmiri folk theatre, Band Pathar, from legendary Motilal Kimuji. She has written many plays and later graduated from National School of Drama and performed in many national and international theatre festivals in India and abroad. Recipient of Inlex Theatre Award to explore the classical theatre form of Kuriyattam, Kerala. So it shows you, the length and breadth of your knowledge of the art. As a voice artist, Bhasha ji has also dubbed the Kashmiri version of the American Muppet show Sesame Street for Doordarshan Kashmir. Welcome, Bhasha ji. Thank you once again for joining us. For our audience who probably can recognize Bhasha ji, she has also acted in films like Chapak, and of course the leading role in Kashmir Files, which is successfully running as a blockbuster is a household name now. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you with us. Um, I have watched the movie, I want to say 3 times. And I just want to hear from you, how important was the movie? And since it's decoding the Kashmir Files, it's after its release. So how important was this movie to you when you kind of, accepted to play the role? And more important, the acceptance of the audience post-release. What was going through your mind when it was upcoming for release? And
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए और इंट्रोड्यूस करने के लिए सभी से. It's an honor for me to be invited in koshurRAAG, and you all have been so great. The song हमने जो सुना अभी शुरू में, मैं उसके बारे में भी बोलना चाहूंगी. It's straight from the heart. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, मुझे बहुत छुआ, especially the lines की हवाओं में धमकियां थी और गलियों में क्या था वो, एक बड़ा प्यारा, मुझे बहुत, इट्स स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम द हार्ट, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा वो. सो इट्स रियली ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी हार्ट वार्मिंग. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कॉलिंग मी. सो रिगार्डिंग योर क्वेश्चन, द this movie was of course very very important for me, because जब मुझे पता चला कि विवेक sir is going to do it, having seen his Tashkent files, I knew that this is one man who will not compromise with truth and will not shy away from calling a spade, which is very rare in the Indian film industry, unfortunately. So I was very keen to actually be a part of the film in any capacity that I could, any which capacity that I could actually contribute in. But I was lucky enough that he said ki there is a role for you also, which I would like you to consider and audition for. So when I got to know about this character Sharda Pandit, which is a basic representation of all the victims of the Kashmiri Pandit women, basically the victims of genocide. So it was, for me, it was very responsible job. It was very, it was an honor also. It was like I felt that I was the chosen one. So I felt very, very lucky. And it was a divine intervention, a divine blessing of Ma Sharda, which I believe that it came my way, and I had to prepare myself in a very different way for this. Like I didn't have to imagine anything about these characters, because all these ladies, all these victims, we all know the stories of. And so that's why I was only focusing on portraying the truth of these victims. And I had crossed my fingers for during the release of the film. I did not know how people are going to take it, but then I was totally surprised the way people have actually accepted me as, Sharda herself, or people say that you're a part of our family, or people call me Didi or sister or daughter. तो वो जो family वाला जो प्यार मिला है from across the globe, in fact, not even just the Kashmiris but the non-Kashmiris as well, that has been very very humbling, and that has been very very heartwarming, and it rekindles a hope that humanity is still left, that sensibilities are still there, that sensitivities are still there, despite all the propaganda that goes.
Absolutely, I think you hit the nail on the head, K. Sensitivity, and it just gave a hope to the whole humankind, that the human rights and people are still conscious of their surroundings and feelings. And as we all understand, art is about connecting people's emotions, and it pushes communities to engage thoughtfully and make progress, towards social progress. Make small, humble steps towards social progress. And as we saw the Kashmir Files unfold, it for sure did, achieve that. So I know the role of Sharda Pandit, very heart-wrenching story, and I cannot even visualize what you must have gone through during the making of the movie. So can you tell us, the audience, as how the shooting unfolded, and how post-release, the love and affection that you just mentioned that you received from the audience, how that kind of provided solace or a sense of contentment and satisfaction, and you're like, yes, I wanted to do it, and I'm so glad I did it.
So initially, when I had to do these roles, the heart-wrenching scenes, it took a toll on me, on my mental and physical health. And I knew that that's going to happen. Like in acting, we focus a lot on imagination of the character, the character, we build a backstory, we imagine a lot. But these are the characters where you didn't have to imagine anything. They are real life victims, and you know a lot about them because this is what is being discussed in your community. Whenever people meet, they discuss the horrors of 90s and that whole decade of terrorism. So more than imagination, I was focusing on alienation. I was focusing on isolating myself from the impact that is going to have, because an actor suffers the things on his or her skin. So I knew that I have to relive the horror. So it is going to definitely disturb me a lot. And when I'm doing it, I'm alone. But so it becomes my struggle. But when I share it with the people, when it becomes the people's film, when people see that, they too feel it on their skin. So that kind of gives me a lot of relief that I was not alone in this. It gave me a great solace that everybody felt that humiliation and that torture which I had to feel, which actually has happened to that real victim. So this, as I told you, that this gives you a lot of hope, and kind of you all are together in this, despite the fact that some people are they're KPs or they're not KPs. But as humans, all of us are together in this. Was a big statement that came across by the humongous applause and the reaction that this film has got. So that was very, very heartwarming.
It's so encouraging to hear that. And I was thinking about a question that, being a Kashmiri Hindu yourself, you have kind of lived those times. So it was a very, very daring and a courageous step for you to take this role, because you were not only, like you said, you were not only playing the role, you were reliving those. And then when we talk about trauma and PTSD and anxiety,
transgenerational trauma.
Exactly. It's
transgenerational, because I would say I was born in Kashmir. I was just in my mother's lap when we were expelled out of Kashmir, and so I don't have any memories of Kashmir. I was born in Lal Ded Hospital. I don't have any memories. Whenever somebody asks me the profile or bio, I always start with this, born in Kashmir, because for me that is the only achievement in my life. That is the only connect with my motherland, that I was born there. That's all. I can easily start, hailing from J&K or anything, or from Kashmir, yeah, Bhasha Sumbli. Then I can start my profile in a different way. But I always make it a point, I start with born in Kashmir. I don't know, something that gives me a connect to my motherland. So I was only born there. So I don't have any direct memories of, what happened there, because I was a very, very small baby. But I know that, my mother has dodged a bullet when she was having my brother in her arms. And my mother was harassed by her own neighbors, whom she used to call Gam boy. Gam boy jaise bolte Kashmiri, Gam bhai, gaon ka bhai. They were Muslims. So, lekin wo bhaichara wagera sab, all those things were there. So, but one day she said ki, they started to dictate terms that, you cannot go to the office riding a scooter. So she had a scooter. So they were like, you cannot go to office, and this is not permitted, this is prohibited, so you have to wear a hijab. Is tarah ki cheezein so this is all that I've heard from my mother. That began, the changes suddenly began to happen all around. And I have been grown up in a refugee camp because of all this. So what my memories are of the days of our struggle in Delhi, in Prayagraj, in Jammu. All of these places we had to just shift, living like refugees, shifting from one place to other. And so that has been my childhood. So this has been a part of my entire consciousness. So when I was given this role, and I knew that this is going to be this will take a lot from me, but this will also give me a lot. And that has happened.
Amazing. I know for me, this movie has given a solace to me. And thank you so much for being part of living Sharda Pandit in a way that has awakened the masses to the magnitude that we all see day in and day out. And I wish we could keep talking forever. Hopefully we'll have you again on the show. But thank you once again for coming here. But before, I know you have other commitments, I'll let you go. Any words, any message, anything for our audience as related to you, Kashmir Files, and that'll be greatly appreciated.
My humble request to the entire audience that are with us today, that are a part of the movement called the Kashmir Files, that are promoting it as if it's their own story, be they KPs or non-KPs. I'm especially targeting the people who are non-KPs because they many of them have actually mailed me and responded in the sense that we are sorry, we are full of guilt, but we didn't know all this and we were not there to support you guys when you were facing this all. So my humble request to everyone is that it should not be temporary. It should not be, for as long as the movie lasts. It should be a lifelong commitment, because it's not just a commitment towards a particular small community that was, subject to genocide and was expelled. It should be a promise to a generation, to a civilization that has been eroded, that we will reclaim that civilization. And so it is our collective effort that is needed, because the return, and what I mean by that is that you should support the KP cause, because you have just seen the tip of an iceberg, what has happened, and you are totally sympathizing and empathizing with us. But please be a part of the entire story, because this will lead to a closure. Right now, we are at the stage of catharsis. The title and the topic of today's program is catharsis. But the catharsis has to lead to closure, and closure means nothing short of justice. So justice is a long fight. So be a part of this long fight. It should not be just the fever of the movie, just the euphoria around the movie. It should be the entire, the permanent commitment towards this endeavor to get justice, which means return to homeland, which means reversal of the genocide, which means a lot of geopolitical aspirations that are a part of the community. And so I just request you all to be a part of our struggle. This Kashmir Files has been one aspect of it. It has been one aspect of this struggle, which has actually amplified the entire story to the whole world. But there are many, many different aspects of genocide, many dimensions of what we are suffering. So, and the entire solution of it is the reversal of genocide and the reclamation of the homeland, resettlement and reversal of genocide and resettlement back in Kashmir. So for that struggle, please be with us.
Thank you so much, Bhasha ji. You summed it up so beautifully, and you used some such heavy words, genocide and rehabilitation, and hopefully everybody here on the program who's participating or joined us as an audience, at least I can speak for myself, my commitment that whatever I can do, small attempts I can make, we'll keep this going, keep the fever on, keep the momentum going. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And one last thing I say,
please,
before going, I'm traveling in a lot of movie promotions and these screenings, especially which are taking place all over India. So I always tell them that कश्मीर में जो कश्मीरी हिंदुओं की वापसी होगी, वो सिर्फ एक समुदाय विशेष की वापसी नहीं है, वहां के बाशिंदों की वापसी नहीं है, वो सिर्फ कश्मीरी हिंदुओं की वापसी नहीं है, वो भारतीय सभ्यता की वापसी है कश्मीर में। और आपको अपनी सभ्यता को वापस लाना है, क्योंकि देश तो वही है, भूमि कहीं नहीं जाएगी, लेकिन भूमि से सभ्यता उखाड़ी गई है, सभ्यता को वापस वहां पे आपको पुनर्स्थापित करना है। तो ये लड़ाई बहुत लंबी लड़ाई है, और इसमें इसीलिए मैं कह रही हूँ कि भारतीयता की सभ्यता जो है उसको वापस पुनर्स्थापित करने के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़े रहें, हमारा पूरा साथ दें।
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bhasha ji. So in a nutshell, it's not only a genocide of a community, it's also genocide of a culture, and we have to rehabilitate
civilization. Yes. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Wow. What a conversation. I think we are all ready for some light music now. And Pavneesh ji, did you have any comments or anything, or I can go ahead and introduce Sniti ji? I'm still trying to go through, I'm reliving the movie, reliving our experiences in Kashmir. If not, I can move forward. I'm good to go. Okay, thank you. Next on our program is Sniti Mishra ji. Sniti ji, I think you've been here before on our koshurRAAG program. Thank you so much for joining us again. Classically trained Sniti Mishra ji burst on the national music scene through Z Saregama, singing superstar in 2010. And audiences and judges alike were wowed by her haunting voice and her unique renditions of a wide variety of songs, from classical, Sufi, ghazal, old classics, and movie songs. Suniti ji has received her Hindustani classical music training from Guru Sri Raghunath Sahu ji, a disciple of Dr. Damodar Hota of Gwalior Gharana. Suniti ji, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you with us again. And I think you're going to sing a Kashmiri song as well as some Hindi songs. So over to you, Suniti ji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swapna ji. It is always a pleasure communicating with you. I think you are absolutely amazing all the time. And it's indeed a pleasure being on koshurRAAG. I mean, this is the third time we are like coming together. So I don't know how to, after listening to Sumbli ji, I think I was just thinking what to sing now, because I'm already, my mind is not coming from all those incidents she was talking about. But the song I'm going to sing is Myano, and this is not just a song, it is a prayer. And the reason behind it, through this song, I always pray God that to give peace, the mind and soul of the people who are in trouble and who are in extreme pain. So this is the primal intention of all of us, because we are assembled here to express our emotion, and what could be the better medium than music to express yourself, express your thoughts. And so with your permission, I would like to sing my first song, that is Myano. याद आसैनो नजर जाने दैत बलनम पोष फलनम ददवना तस हर्द रंग गो याद आसैनो पीर म्यानो गिर दिल गो याद आसैनो सख्त कुरूनम अश्क नारन नख्त चिमग मैथ दिल चानन्या विच मुख्त हाँ कर शुभ छमना मंजिल पख्त संसई त्राम सपद्यों याद आसैनो मिसल यूसुफ छुक्स आवर माने कड़ा खाब नहीं उसने जान्युक गाह देशीत पार गई बेताब नहीं अश्क शाके दिल में कतरियों याद आसैनो पीर म्यानो गिर दिल गो है याद आसैनो Thank you so much.
Absolutely beautiful, Sniti ji. Who can tell that Kashmiri is not your mother tongue? I mean, और कौन कहता है कि कश्मीरी एक छोटी सी कम्युनिटी है? आप जैसे लोग सब हमसे जुड़ जाएं तो we, you know, we are not a small community. Thanks for joining us. I believe
Thank you.
you're gonna sing some Hindi songs for us.
जी जी, thank you so much, Swapna ji. The next Hindi song. I'm going to sing as Yaad Na Jaye because we are talking about memories, and there are a lot of certain memories are difficult to erase, and so this song is to remember your loved one who are closer to you. दिन जो पखेरू होते पिंजरे में मैं रख लेता, पालता उनको जतन से, पालता उनको जतन से, मोती के दाने देता, सीने से रहता लगाए, याद न जाए बीते दिनों की, जाके न आए जो दिन, दिल क्यों बुलाए उन्हें, दिल क्यों बुलाए। तस्वीर उनकी छुपा के रख दूं जहाँ जी चाहे, तस्वीर उनकी छुपा के रख दूं जहाँ जी चाहे, मन में बसी ये मूरत, मन में बसी ये मूरत, लेकिन मिटी ना मिटाए, कहने को है वो पराए, याद न जाए बीते दिनों की, जाके न आए जो दिन, दिल क्यों बुलाए उन्हें, दिल क्यों बुलाए, याद न जाए बीते दिनों की। Thank you.
Very, very beautiful. Everybody was mesmerized. The videos that are on, I could see them like singing with you and rocking with you. Is there in the Hindi song you were going to sing for us, or?
Yeah, the next Hindi song is this is the song of great Lata ji, and I think everybody loves it, and specifically Arvin ji told me that this is his favorite song as well, so I'm going to sing the song.
Well, I didn't know you were taking requests. For next time, I will take up on that. So thank you.
Definitely.
Everybody
It is
waiting.
always my pleasure. It is going to be always my pleasure. So. There's a song. तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई शिकवा तो नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, तेरे बिना जिंदगी भी, लेकिन जिंदगी तो नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, तेरे बिना जिंदगी भी, लेकिन जिंदगी तो नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, तेरे बिना जिंदगी से शिकवा तो नहीं.
Wow.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
No wonder you were awarded the most remarkable voice of the series in the grand finale of Saregama. And no
Thank you.
wonder music stalwart A.R. Rahmanji, after listening to you, said this melodious voice is different and that they have never heard before. And I'm so glad that we got to hear you this morning, this evening. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you
us.
so much, Swapna ji. Thank you so much.
Moving on, let's have some conversation now. Next, I'm going to invite none other than Dr. Surinder Kaul. Dr. Surinder Kaul is a physician by profession, a community activist, and co-founder of Global Kashmiri Pandits Diaspora. Surinder ji, you and I know you, I want to say back summer of 1990, we have had association that long. Thank you, Mara. Thank you for joining us today. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome once again.
Namaskar, Swapna ji. Thank you so much for a nice introduction. I think it's a wrong time to bring me in. I wanted to listen to this music, and it was so mesmerizing. I think Sniti ji has Ma Saraswati. It's so amazing. My wife has been always telling me that they are doing an amazing job. koshurRAAG. And from time to time, she used to send to me these videos. It's amazing the way koshurRAAG is organizing these events, bringing community and non-community together. Music is a very rich resource for binding people. I should commend you the way the seva bhav, that the way you are doing it, that is amazing. And Sniti ji, I wish you all the best. You will go places. मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा था. मैं सोच रहा था गलत टाइम पे मेरे को यहाँ पे लाया. I wanted to listen to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Surinder ji. It is just a humble effort on part of koshurRAAG that we are trying to connect people through the amazing medium of art, culture, music, and try to preserve and further our rich heritage. So thank you so much. So to have some conversation with you, Surinder ji, we all know about your immense contribution to the Kashmiri cause, to the Kashmir Files movie, its inception. And I'm just curious to see, we saw the movie together, pre-release, so I kind of personally know your reaction, but I just wanted to hear from you that what was your reaction after you saw the movie? Did it live up to your expectations, and did it do justice to what you were thinking? And before you start answering, I would like to request the audience that if you have any questions, please feel free to, put it in the chat section for us, and we are monitoring that, and we'll be glad to ask that to all our panelists today. Surinder ji, over to you. Thank you.
First of all, the Kashmir Files, it is a divine intervention that everybody is saying that. Vivek ji is saying, Pallavi ji is saying, and I am saying this. In this 4 years of journey, if we have to see what divine is, that is the journey of the Kashmir Files. And we have spent enormous amount of time along with all the people, including you, who have been driving this whole process. And the life had come to a pause for all these 4 years. You know it very well. So having said that, even though I knew I was privy to everything right from its first day, from script to its journey about shooting, I knew what is coming the way. But, there is always a difference between what you hear and what you see. And very honestly, I must say that what I saw and what I heard It was at least 70% much more than what my expectations were. You know, this whole genesis, it was not me. We became mediums. I became a chosen medium. Vivekji became a chosen medium. Pallaviji became the chosen medium. And all those who were part of this, it was a havan for us. It was not a movie. And everybody was giving its ahuti to this havan. And this havan is continuing. And this will always remain a yajna for us. All right. So the answer to your question was that it was much more than what I, personally speaking, I expected. So it was the celluloid. This is the magic that Vivekji has put in and converted this whole thing into such a powerful cinematics that it will be remembered from generations to generations.
Absolutely. And we all know that what Pallaviji and Vivekji showed in the movie was tip of the iceberg. But we all know how difficult it is to put everything together and so eloquently and with so much impact in less than 3 hours. And what it has done is just the results are absolutely amazing. I don't know that you recently came back from India, and what you just said just kind of struck a chord with me, Surinderji, when you said what you see on the celluloid, what you hear, what you see on the video is something different than what you experience personally, right? So you experienced interactions with audiences, non-Indian audiences in US when you went and watched the movie here, and you experienced firsthand interaction with audiences and people back home. So please share some of those instances with us. Like, how did it feel? Like, I'm sure it was an overwhelming experience, but I'm not going to speak for you or put words in your mouth. So please.
You know, in US also, I had the privilege of watching and actually coordinating this. At least I was part of 3 screenings. And especially in US, the theme was common, where not only Indian people of Indian origin, but other communities, including Caucasians and Hispanics and every sect, even Muslims were part of this. And the way they related to the human stories, that was really a different experience. It was cutting across ethnicities, language, religion, all that shades, and the same template in India also. What I mean to say that humanity and the human stories are so powerful that it will defy any and all barriers. And that is what magic we saw all in India. We saw it all across the world. Not only US, you see it in Germany, you see it in UK, you see it in now other parts, even New Zealand. So all across, the message is the same, and that is about what happened. And how the Indian community is reacting is that there's a severe feeling of guilt that such a huge tragedy happened and we didn't know about it. And any of them who has Kashmiri Hindus in their contacts, they are reaching out to them. First question is this true? Is this what happened with you? And second question is, we feel extremely sorry for what you have gone through. So this is a very common. So this about the Indians. Then about the other non-Indian communities, they have been also reacting that this is a genocide in the modern era. It's not a genocide that happens in 1940s, 1920s. Why this is not part of the history books? This is coming from America. This is coming from UK. So these are the changes that we have been experiencing, and I have been having the first-hand experience of these things.
So true. And another reaction that I have also personally seen, Surinderji, if I may add here, is from, people of different ethnicities, non-Indians, is that guys, wake up. It's a wake-up call for all of us. It's like you said, it's literally something that happened in our backyard. So nothing's going to stop it from knocking on your door and catch you unaware. So let's all be conscious, respectful, and do the right things. And Bhasha ji also made one very important, I want to connect here, is that she said, let it not be like, aaj ka josh hai, sub isme, everybody's in this is euphoria. What do you think? What should and needs to be done to sustain the momentum that Kashmir Files has created to keep this yug going till we reach our, goal?
Yeah, for us, this is since 1990, we have been part of this journey. So we will continue it. There is no doubt about it. But we want every, first of all, Kashmiri Hindu to take ownership of this. And they are doing. Everybody is working so hard. People have been reaching to me individually to facilitate screening. And I'm so sensitive about it that I respond to them in a timely manner because they have a lot of expectations. They want to do something. And that is how we need to support them and see what best we can help them. And they did it as individuals, as small groups and organizations. So it is happening at multiple levels. And it's not only with Kashmiri Hindus. Now the overall Indians and people of Indian origin all over the globe are driving it and taking its ownership. So that means there is now a very big mountain of empathy coming the way to the community, and that needs to be channelized. That needs to be channelized in a proper way. We are receiving tons of emails, messenger messages. How can we help? How can we support? So this needs to be driven to a logical conclusion, and everyone within the community at wherever they are needs to be connected and drive this. They have to be on the driver's seat and keep on doing this because that is how democracies work. It's not only the movie for us. We have to get justice, and that is long due. And through us, we have to ensure that such things doesn't repeat with any other community, not only in India, whether it is Kerala, whether it's West Bengal, but all over the globe. And we have all the credentials to drive it because we had never reciprocated violence with violence. We have put a very glaring example in front of the world.
Absolutely. And beautiful words that you use is take ownership and everybody contribute. क्योंकि बूंद बूंद से ही सागर बनता है. So no effort is small or big. So as long as everybody is making an effort, I don't see why we cannot reach our goal. Pavneesh, thanks for joining us. Did you have a question? Please, please.
Yeah. First of all, again, compliments and congratulations, Surinderji, for being this person working behind the scene, or at least getting things off the board here. So I'm going to be putting two questions, one about the pre-movie and the one is about post-movie. Pre-movie, there's some critics out there who just started now saying that this is because this was all planned planned movie by some people, some politicians got involved as well. But I want you to use this platform to shred that myth and tell us your struggle about this movie development, and give that overview of what happened behind the scenes to really get to this place.
Let me be very honest answer to this. Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora, even though it was formulated in 2009, we became public in 2017. We realized that what happened with us, there has been extensive research and interactions with a lot of people with legal fraternity who specializes in international law, human rights law. And we said that this is a genocide. This, if you see the trajectory of our exile, struggles in exile, you will see we were using the words like exodus, we were using the word like forced exodus, we were using the word like ethnic cleansing. And this is the trajectory that was following. But once we realized that this is actually a genocide, and we need to hammer it up. And then that's how we hammered all the way, and there was some visibility. So I have put it in my records in the press conference also. Our effort of reaching out to the Bollywood has been going on for last 10 years. But it was not gelling because there were some contradictions. It was not gelling well. So then in 2018, as a chance meeting in Houston, had an personal interaction with Vivek, and we discussed at length about what has happened in Kashmir. much of the knowledge, much of the information was new to him, even though he's very savvy. But the way things got connected, and in the hindsight, I see that it was the environment, the blessings of our martyrs were there, and we just became the media. In this journey of 4 years, I have tons and tons of example what divinity means, what divine intervention means. So your question is that basically the efforts were on, but it clicked in 2018, and soon it clicked. And as Swapna ji knows that how this whole movement was created, how they came all along and went to the first-hand victims of genocide and carried it out well. And then basically he went to Himalayas to write the script about it. The divinity, I will just give you, there have been so many. I know Vivek ji also knows because he has first-hand information. I have first-hand information. Pallavi ji has first-hand information. I'll give you a small example. When the movie was to be released, the earlier date, it took some time. I mean, there were one date that was because of the COVID that got delayed, then another timeline that got delayed. But what I mean to say, I was telling him all the time, abhi iska time nahi aaya, iska time aayega. And there was moments of frustrations. And once he decided that okay, we will release it in March. First of all was January 26th. Then the Omicron came in. Then basically Omicron was still creating havoc, and he decided the date of March 11th. And at that time, many of the theaters were closed in India, and some of the theaters were working at 50% capacity. And we said, you see that it is a divine thing. Things will be beyond your control. Things are beyond our control. Let it happen the way it has to happen. And once that happened, the Omicron melted away. Every theaters, actually, the normalcy came. And that is how then we saw perhaps the post-COVID, the huge things that has been coming, perhaps, and it was beating all the records. So that is what divinity means. So I have tons of so many things that I can share.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And my last question is about the future. And from here, what are your three important immediate goals you think how we can sustain the awareness, and where should this lead to?
See, I will repeat my answer is that we should drive it at a global level. And we should come, there are so many persecuted communities all around the globe. And we should not restrict it to only India. And through this, we should be the vehicle of their stories also. We should be the vehicle of other powerless communities also. That is how we can bridge. We have to, in this global world, we have to come out of this Kashmiri Hindu, Indian Hindu. We have to talk about humanity. And we share the common issues. And that is why we have to grow. And our only thing is not about movie. We have to accomplish, we have to re-establish the civilization back in the valley. That is the goal. And through this will become an important career. It gives a big push to this. And we have certain objectives we want to get accomplished. And this movie has come in a big way as a gift, divine gift for the community. So let us see how we will go. We will navigate it in the best interest of humanity and other communities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And back to CPG.
Yeah, and absolutely history was created and we all saw that. Thank you for being part of that history. Thank you for joining us today, Surinderji. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and we can go on for a while. We'll
I know.
see you again soon.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Keep up the great work. All the best, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Pavneesh. Great questions. That's what our format today was. We'll have a little bit of a serious conversation, and hopefully, our volunteers or people we have voluntold are monitoring the chat. If there are any questions, we will be posing those to our panelists here. But extremely happy and proud to introduce our next guest for the show, Archana Kamath Hegdegarji. Archana, every time I have to pause. Hopefully I do justice, but welcome. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Archana is a vocalist, musician based in Mumbai. Her genres include Hindustani classical, semi-classical, ghazals, Bollywood, jazz. And Archana ji also works as a music teacher with Shankar Mahadevan Academy. Hailing from a musical family, music came naturally to Archana ji, as we will all see when we get to hear her shortly. She got her first music lessons from her grandfather, late Mr. Narasimha Kamath, at the age of 3, when most of us still learning to talk. So amazing. Her father, Mr. Dinesh Kamanji, has also been her mentor all through the years. Though no one from her family has got formal training in music, her parents made sure she gets to learn Indian classical music formally under a trained teacher. And as you have said it in the past, that you owe all your achievements to your parents for being your guiding light. That's always a blessing. Welcome again, and please tell us, take us down on the musical journey here and tell us what you're going to sing for the audience today. Welcome.
Namaskar, Bhara. Namaskar, everyone. So yes, my name is Archana Kamath and I'm from Mumbai, and it's really a pleasure and honor to be a part of today's program. I have a very special bond with Kashmir, and I would like to talk more about that. But before that, I would like to start with one of my most favorite Kashmiri songs, originally sung by Shamim Azad ji. So I would like to present Madano Pardharo Vistu.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful rendition. Thank you, Archana.
Thank you. Madano Pardharo Vistu, Madano Pardharo Vistu, Bula gayi dard hi taigo, Bula gayi dard hi taigo, Tsamolak bewafa bilkul, Tsamolak bewafa bilkul, Bula gayi dard hi taigo, Bula gayi dard hi taigo. Valo myane lok charo ve, Valo myane lok charo ve, Zalvuni no baharo ve, Zalvuni no baharo ve, Damach marvuni chaisu, Damach marvuni chaisu, Bula gayi dard hi taigo, Bula gayi dard hi taigo, Madano Pardharo Vistu, Madano Pardharo Vistu, Bula Thank you.
Very, very beautiful. You're gonna share a story, I believe.
Yeah, so like I said, I have a special bond with Kashmir. Though my mother tongue is not kosher, but I have my roots in Kashmir. So my ancestors are from Kashmir. I'm a Saraswat Brahmin, so my ancestors were part of the earlier exoduses. But yes, so I've always had this different connect and bond with Kashmir, and as an ode to that, last year I had come up with a song which was mainly on the same subject, and I had composed a song, and the story of the video was about a Kashmiri Pandit woman going back to her home after 30 years. And this song was written by Sunanda Vashisht, directed by Danish Renzoji, and sung by Shankar Mahadevanji. You have Shankar Mahadevanji sing in Kashmiri in this song, and I was also singing in this. So I would like to sing a few lines of that song. So there are 4 Kashmiri lines in this song, which I think are so important and so relevant. I would like to start with those lines. Yavun tidra harudatiya kusrud zav kamichich grav athrot karav paks taraf lulkat karav kehvat saraf अब मान भी जा ऐ सवेरे अब मान भी जा ऐ सवेरे इतने बुरे नहीं ये अंधेरे अब मान भी जा ऐ सवेरे इतने बुरे यादों में कुछ देर ठहरे यादों में कुछ देर ठहरे महफूज पनाहों के पहरे सवेरे हाँ सवेरे 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 हाँ सवेरे 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 पहले जो दर्द के बहाने बन गए जख्मों के निशान खजाने बन गए कागजों पे उतरे फसाने बन गए सुन हो बहू हूँ मैं तेरे पहचान भी जाए सवेरे मान भी जाए सवेरे सवेरे हाँ सवेरे 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 ऐ सवेरे हाँ सवेरे सवेरे सवेरे
खूबसूरत है अगर हम
बहुत good,
Thank you
amazing.
so much.
अगर हम सब ये मान के चले कि अंधेरे इतने बुरे नहीं है, हर अंधेरी रात की सुबह तो होगी, जैसे हम कश्मीरी पंडित कश्मीरी पंडित की होगी,
जी,
and we are all hopeful that one day we will all go back to our homes
डेफिनेटली।
respectfully on our own terms, and वो काली घनी अंधेरी रात का अंत होगा.
जी,
Thank you, Archana.
थैंक यू। So one more Hindi song that I would like to present is, I think everybody has heard this song, everybody loves this song, and this song is a mark of talks about strength and hope and faith. Doom tu na dire na na dire na na, doom tu na dire na na dire, doom tu na dire na na dire na na, doom tu na dire na na dire. ये हौसला कैसे रुके, ये आरज़ू कैसे झुके, ये हौसला कैसे झुके, ये आरज़ू कैसे रुके. मंजिल मुश्किल तो क्या, धुंधला साहिल तो क्या, तन्हाई दिल तो क्या हो. राह पे कांटे बिखरे अगर, उस पे तो फिर भी चलना ही है. शाम छुपा ले सूरज मगर, रात को एक दिन ढलना ही है. रुत ये टल जाएगी, हिम्मत रंग लाएगी, सुबह फिर आएगी हो. ये हौसला कैसे झुके, ये आरज़ू कैसे रुके, ये हौसला कैसे झुके, ये आरज़ू कैसे रुके. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making me a part of this. It's really a pleasure and honor.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar. Any program is incomplete or is not possible without generous donors and sponsors. As always, we do have a generous sponsor, donor who helps us, koshurRAAG, in our mission of serving the underserved artists and preserve Kashmiri Pandit culture, heritage, and keep it intact for our future generations. Rajesh Jalali ji is our sponsor for the evening. I would like to welcome Arvin ji and Rajesh ji for the next segment, please.
Namaskar, Sarni. This is Arvin Mattoo, your host. I'm currently in India. It's love to be here. The food, the culture, the people is just awesome over here. Coming to India, visiting India after 4 years. Well, yeah, as Swapna ji, thank you for introducing Rajesh ji. Rajesh Jalali comes from the Jalali family who have been very close to koshurRAAG. Last year we had Rahul and Rohit Jalali who sponsored for the event. This time Rajesh Jalali and his wife, Preeti Dhar Jalali, have also donated not 100, not 200, almost 500 t-shirts to the koshurRAAG and some 100 plus golf shirts, polo shirts to koshurRAAG. So thank you so much for the Jalali family and particularly Rajesh Jalali. Would like to give a little brief introduction before I go into the a little bit of conversation with Rajesh ji. Rajesh The roots are from Ranawari, Srinagar. He's married to Pritidhar Jalali. He's a wonderful son, Raghav Jalali. Rajesh has an undergrad in engineering from REC Srinagar and is an MBA graduate from the University of Jammu. He owns a textile industry, a textile manufacturing unit. He is not only serving, just Kashmiri Pandit, but he has also been very, altruistic in, giving, donations to the other organizations as well. And so, would like to welcome Rajesh ji. I just move my camera here. Rajesh ji, namaskar.
Namaskar, Sajni. I am Rajesh Jalali. As Arvind has introduced myself, I don't have anything to say about me. I have been connected to koshurRAAG since its inception, as I know Arvind for a very long time. He says, what connects me to koshurRAAG? There is no reason to connect to your own culture, basically. koshurRAAG is something which promotes our culture, which we have been lacking for so many years. There has been no bonding. Everybody is thinking out on his own, but here is something that which connects us very well, which brings us to our roots. That's it.
Rajesh ji, I have a question for you. I know you said how you connect to koshurRAAG. So you are a music lover. You are a passionate singer. What do you have to say about the?
I'm not a trained singer as it, but sometimes I do sing and I hum a bit.
So what do you have to say about how do we progress as koshurRAAG as we bring more talent?
There has to be some means, some channel, some instrument to get us together. And I think I am a strong believer that music is the most easy and accessible instrument to connect the culture itself. We as a community have been lacking this for a very, very long time. Maybe our ancestors, the generations above us didn't promote music so much as they should have. But our generation, next generation, we have to preserve our culture. We have to give something back to our children so that they carry on our traditions, our culture. And I think music is the best best instrument to do that.
Great, Rajesh ji. I was wondering, what message do you have for the Kashmiri Pandit community? Because as we have gone through last 32 years of, struggle, survival, and now we are in a success mode. We have done very well for ourselves. Most of the people. What do we go from here regarding
first and foremost, I am a strong believer that we all must come together. That's the most important thing we have to do. We have to recognize each other and not criticize each other. There are many segments and sects in our community that one says this is going on, one says this is going on. We have to shed all our differences and come together. That's the first and foremost thing. Now, this movie has shown the whole world what we have gone through. Earlier, there were many friends in diverse in India. They used to say, "As aapko baat ke aa gaye wahan se, aisa ho gaya, aapne resist nahi kiya, ye nahi kiya," and nobody understands the history and culture of our community. Probably this movie is an eye-opener. And I congratulate everybody who has been associated with this movie. At least our struggle, our honor has been highlighted in this movie.
I agree. So Rajesh ji, as we move towards this is year 2 of koshurRAAG, and we are moving to the next level as we bring more and more artists. We generate revenue for our mentors, our singers, our performers. What do you have to say for what kind of quality would you, as I said, you're a music lover, what kind of quality do you expect from Kashmiri Pandit? And as we're doing,
I think our community doesn't lack talent. there's an immense talent in our community, but its only thing is to rope them in. We have quality singers now. The music is being taught to our children. Our children are coming up, but it's the matter of time that people rope in our talent, interact with other talents from other communities, just like we have done in this program today. Automatically, talent will come up, and the music will be winner.
And Rajesh, we also, as you saw, Sniti ji here, and then you heard Archana ji here. They are. I mean, how beautiful they are sung. They are at a different level, So, what do you recommend to our young generation? What they should be focusing on besides the education and the academics?
Music is only practice. You have to have some teacher. You have to have some guru. You have to be very focused. And earlier, our ancestors and the generation before us focused only on padai, engineer banna hai, doctor banna hai, ye karna hai, but the world is open now. There are so many avenues and so many music can do wonders.
Rajesh, I think those words are very valuable for, especially our biggest challenge as any community, whether it's a Kashmiri Pandit community or a non-Kashmiri Pandit community, the challenge is about the youth. The youth, how do we bring the youth in? We always ask people, tell us what we should do better. And I think one of the challenges is bring the young people, who are born after 1990, these Kashmiri Pandit boys and girls.
See, so today's youth, when we were young, we had different things in our mind. We had different limited access to the information. Today's youth is blasted with information. They are much more mature minds very early in their young age. It's the matter of just convincing them about something and they will do it.
So I think these are the golden words from our sponsor for tonight's show, Rajesh Jalali, and thank you to Rajesh Jalali and Preeti Jalali. Thank you so much. Swapna, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for generous donation, Rajesh ji. Greatly appreciate it. Moving on, we have, I'm looking forward to, as every segment, to the next segment, we have Sunanda Vashisht ji joining us. Sunanda ji is a writer, political commentator, and a columnist. She writes for several news portals and has been a columnist for daily news and analysis. My dad is a big fan of DNA. So when he's done with his morning puja and stuff, he's like, why don't you make DNA, which would make it stuff. So thank you for being part of that. It's and for the who don't know about DNA, it's an India-based newspaper published from Mumbai, India. Her bylines have appeared in Houston Chronicle, Denver Post, Indian Express, Economic Times, and the list goes on. The important and how we are connected, today especially, is your area of focus. That has been the conflict-ridden state of Jammu and Kashmir, and you're written extensively covering all aspects of the conflict that is considered the most volatile region of South Asia. For me, when I hear about Sunanda Vashisht, what comes to my mind is that loud, I am a Kashmiri Pandit. And thank you for doing what you did at the Tom Lantos Commission, the Human Rights Commission. Your testimony that went viral, I think that was one major platform where I heard Kashmiri Pandit loud and clear. I'm a proud Kashmiri Pandit, but that just took my, pride to the next level. So thank you for what you did. You were the first one to talk about Kashmiri Hindus and Kashmiri genocide in US Congress. You do travel extensively and talk about Kashmiri Pandits' plight. Thank you for being the voice of the voiceless and taking our stories to the arenas where we don't have access to. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Sunanda ji, for joining us today. You have been involved with the Kashmiri plight, just like I mentioned, from day one, from what happened to us, we were thrown out of our homes, to now. I have a lot of questions, but the question that kind of jumps to the top of the list is, from your eyes, right? You have been involved at various platforms, medias. What is a change, if any, you have seen in the perception of the media, of interaction with people, with post Kashmir Files release?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Swapna ji. It's been such a wonderful morning for me. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasant break for me because my world on most days is full of boring and pointless political debates. I write endless opinion pieces that no one reads, and I analyze policy, which very few people understand. So I'm truly happy to be here in this musical environment, primarily for two things. First, music generally makes people nicer human beings. So this is automatically a wonderful company to be in, much better than I usually have in my professional life. And second, most important, most people don't understand how intertwined Kashmir is with music and how musical all of us generally tend to be. Musical heritage of Kashmir is almost as old as ancient land of Kashmir. I had read Mr. Omkar Emma's research once, and he said that one of the oldest forms of musical expression called Vanvun, which you must be aware of, is found in Kashmir. And he had researched that it appears to be an adaptation of Vedic chants of Samved, and they have not been altered to the least. Also, Chakri, another form of Kashmiri music, seems to have an ancient origin too. And as per Kalhan's Raj Tarangni, it can be traced back to 12th century AD. So even after the Islamic conquest of Kashmir, the land which saw so much turmoil kept the musical tradition alive. However, our latest exodus now, which is our seventh one, has dealt a deathly blow to it. So I really want to congratulate koshurRAAG for what you are doing to revive musical tradition in Kashmir and give support to Kashmiri artists, because in a war zone and in times of genocide, literature, music, fine arts, they all require special help to blossom. I've had such a wonderful morning, and I just, at the outset, I want to tell koshurRAAG, all of you, that please count on me for any help that you ever need for spreading the word. Coming to your question, sorry, I had to say that, Swapna ji, because it just made me so emotional this morning.
I just have to make a comment, and I'm so glad you said that, because this is a volunteer job, and comments like that, feedback that light, is kind of re-energizes us to keep going.
Yes, because there are all kinds of forums. We have Kashmiri Pandits, as you know, have organized themselves in in every city you'll find a sabha, in every organization, in every state you'll find an organization which is political, cultural, but something that is especially dedicated to music, because music means so much to us, is just yours that I have come across. So I'm touched more than anything else. But coming back to your question, I think it is very important for the audience today to get a sense of where we are at this moment. Kashmir Files, as I call it, is a Big Bang moment. Let's call it a Big Bang moment in our story. I think after this movie, unless you are living under a rock, no Indian, at least, can say, no Indian living in India or living of anybody of Indian origin living anywhere else in the world can say that we did not know what was happening in Kashmir. We did not know about your genocide. We did not know who you are, and we did not know, sorry, we didn't know who we are. At least that Big Bang moment has been achieved. So for that, I want to congratulate Vivek Agnihotri, his team, Surinder ji, who was here before me, and everybody who's been involved with this mission, so to speak. But in order to understand this momentum, and more important than that, not let this momentum pass and make something out of it and get justice, which is eventually our goal, to get justice and go back to our land with dignity, to our homeland, we need to understand that it has taken 32 years to get here. You may have, so I usually work in the world of narratives, and my job is to tell stories that go against the set narratives and question the status quo. So I think a lot of about KP narrative has progressed over years, and just to peg it in 80s, because I'm an eyewitness as a survivor, and later from 90s onwards as writer and political analyst, I see a huge momentum at the moment. And I haven't seen this ever and I've been writing for almost about 20 years now, and I haven't seen this kind of momentum ever. The movie does try to, most non-Kashmiris will tell me, but when did this happen? And most poignant question they have is that, why did we not know? So I have tried to think about why did they not know? It's not because we were silent. It is because we were not heard. The movie tries to answer this question actually in a brilliant way when it says that if you cannot say, I for a long time used to say, well, there was no internet, there was no private television, there was only Doordarshan. How were we going to tell our story? But then the movie tries to answer, which was an important point for me. It says, then how was Babri Masjid known everywhere? Babri Masjid happened in 1992. There was no internet at that time. There was no private, I think ZTV had just about started, but there wasn't information, digital age, so to speak. Then how did they know? So it's important to understand that it was a conspiracy of silence. And we became a victim of this conspiracy. Victim of the fake secularism model that India had adopted, which meant that Hindus could never be victims. So for the benefit of people who are not Kashmiri Pandits here who have joined us, Hindus are micro minority in Kashmir, not even minority. But somehow that did not register in local media and certainly not in global media up until now. Global media still does not understand how Hindu majority India can have a region where Hindus are a minority and therefore they are victims of demographic depletion and genocide. Because when New York Times or Washington Post or Guardian, they go to India, they speak to 5 people who sit in Khan Market, and they call it Khan Market consensus. And my joke is that those 5 people are the only sources for these newspapers, and they are the only readers of these 5 newspapers in India, because nobody else cares for them. So the sources are the final consumers as well. So they just go to these 5 people, they get their stories. So they still don't understand that there is this micro minority there and what it has gone through. But I think the conspiracy that I talk about is our faith clearly made us victims in Kashmir. We were killed for our faith. There should be no 2 questions about it. The jihad in Kashmir meant annihilation of Hindus. But I think, ironically, Swapna ji, it was our faith that made us forgotten victims or refugees in India also. Because how can Hindus be victims? Left liberal thought process that was, and in a lot of ways still continues to have a strong influence in media, academia, civil society, never took up Kashmiri Pandit cause. Left should have been the first, because left always comes to the rescue of minorities everywhere around the world. They should have been the first to come to our cause. They never came to our help because we never passed the smell test. So it was important to them to showcase Hindus as majority and Muslims as ever suffering minorities. So in that secularism model, not only were we a problem, we were also a major source of irritation. So while jihadis wanted us dead, left liberal intelligentsia wanted us invisible.
Yes.
So between being dead and being invisible, we really had no choice. And I can tell you that from my own experience that there was one newspaper that would publish my writing without any edits, and that was Pioneer. This was years ago. Pioneer. God bless Chandan Mitra, he's no more. But only editor who would take my work and never ever edit it, that was Pioneer. everybody else, my writing would go through so much edits that I would finally say, I don't want to get published anymore, because they never wanted to know. So remember, Kashmir was always talked about. It's not like that Kashmir wasn't talked about. It is, they did not want to see it from the prism of Kashmiri Hindus. That's the problem. And finally, internet, of course, rescued us. Thanks to everyone and people like you and so many thousands of other activists who chronicled our story. And that's how even Kashmir Files got everything from. Thank God for that. If they had not chronicled it, we would probably have never known about Girija Tikku or BK Ganju, or beyond their immediate family, no one would have known. But just before this, I just want to say one little thing. Internet generation like mine and yours, Swapna, we get a lot of credit for writing this, and I give myself a lot of credit, but I do want to give a shout out to people, the generation before us, our parents' generation. They never stayed quiet. Nobody was publishing them, but they were self-publishing themselves. Do you remember a newspaper or a magazine called koshurRAAG? It was started way in 91. I mean, think about it. At that time, when they were trying to get on their feet, survive, they were starting newspapers, they were self-publishing newspapers, they were self-publishing magazines. There is so much literature that has been written in exile that I want to give out a shout out to them also.
I also want to mention another name that's coming to my mind is Naad. Remember,
yes.
Naad used to come out. I still remember that dark brown paper, whatever the means were, but we were getting the word across.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make one quick comment here. When you said that it's not that we were not speaking, the world, we were speaking, but the world actively silenced us.
Yes.
And unfortunately, what happened because of that is the world blamed the victims of Islamophobia instead of condemning those who killed in the name of Islam, right? Yes. So we were all along, like, hum bol rahe the, sunne wale kaan nahi the. So I just wanted to make that quick comment. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were never quiet. And even though we did not get the platforms, we did not get any kind of support from anybody, but we kept writing and we kept chronicling everyone. I mean, I remember as a teenager, I would send my little stories to koshurRAAG. I remember the editor-in-chief of koshurRAAG, Mr. Gopinath Raina, he's passed away now, but he used to solicit stories from everyone, from young people. So similarly, Naad, you mentioned, there was Unmesh, there was so much that was done. So all that, I hope one of your endeavors in koshurRAAG is also getting all these publications together and somehow putting them in a way that people can, because all that is history. So people can read what we were writing right after we left Kashmir and where we were, because the genocide really hasn't ended. And I always say that till genocide is not accepted, which it has not been accepted, genocide does not end. So it really hasn't ended. So, but the earlier period of the Exodus and earlier, which was part of that, all that literature should be examined, and all that literature should be sort of, put in a nicer way and given to the younger generation, so that they know what people before us were writing and what they were saying. Those are important documentations. So that's what I think is very important.
Absolutely. And talking about younger generations, I don't have to look far, right? Right in my home, pre-Kashmir Files, since we are decoding the Kashmir Files, we didn't talk a lot about what happened. Part of it was like our nature. Kashmiri Hindus we wanted to leave our kids out of it. But post-Kashmir File, we are talking about it actively. My kids are watching the movie. I've lost count how many times my son has gone, with the intent of taking a non-Kashmiri or a non-Indian friend every time to spread the message. So very important to get that generation involved.
It's very funny, Swapna ji. We were penalized for standing on our feet. A, we were victims. A, we had been thrown out. And then after that, what does this community do? I mean, we have to survive, right? So we stood on our feet, we educated our children, we did not give them guns, we did not beg on the streets, knock on wood. But that also became a thing against us. I have a lot of people who would say, but you don't look like a refugee. And I'm like, what does a refugee look like? What do you think a refugee looks like? And I think that's why the catharsis is such a right title for this, because I think we all need to go through that catharsis. There was this woman from Australia. I think you must have seen that video as well. She was besides herself, you know, the one of those audience videos that came after the movie was screened, and she just was inconsolable. And there was a gentleman who was a non-Kashmiri gentleman, and who said, I am her friend. I have come to see her movie with her. I have known her for last so many years, but I never knew she was a victim. Yeah. I remember I tweeted that day. I said, this is our story. This is everybody's story. Yeah. We just were so focused on standing on our feet, and actually the people on the front lines were our parents, because they really took the brunt. They had their parents to take care of, and they had us to raise. So they took the brunt, and they were so focused on living a life of dignity, because we had not been, our genocide, you know, for a small community that is educated, it was not a financial thing. It was not our fault that we left our homes. So dignity is a very important thing. You know, we were at one point, I remember our parents, and I'm sure your parents must have seen that we've lost our homes, but we've not lost our dignity. We've not lost who we are. So we have to stay. बाहर एक वो पर्दा रखना जरूरी था कि हम कौन हैं, कहाँ से आए हैं, because we are on our shoulders. We also carry the weight of people, the stalwarts who have come before us. So we don't even have a choice to act anything that goes to unki shaan ke khilaf hai, because think of what our ancestors have gone through. So this is what we were going through. That's why this movie has been such a catharsis. And I mean, I had this cathartic moment when I made that into a deposition in US Congress. And then I had this another cathartic moment with this. But this movie was, of course, a much bigger cathartic moment, because when you see it, that's why cinema is so important. That's why that's why a regular, public thing, we can write thousands of books, but what one movie can do is amazing. You know, we can do so much, but anything that goes to mass media has its own role. So I am really thankful for this moment, and I hope this momentum does not dissipate, and people realize that our end goal is justice, and our end goal is going back to homeland with dignity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And our hope is that, you know, a topic that was shunned away from, that has become a breakfast table conversation, continues to be till we achieve what we did set out to. I believe Pavneesh ji has a question too. Pavneesh ji? Hopefully I'm not putting you on a spot.
No, I think I've just been really enjoying the conversation, and some of the words coming out have been absolutely amazing, and actually fit into what we really wanted to talk about today. So thank you, Sunanda ji, for steering the conversation in that direction. But being koshurRAAG and being that musically minded person, I always wanted to know how has music played a role in the healing process as people have migrated out of their homes. Maybe a little bit of insight about, as you rightly said, origin of music in a large way belongs to the Sharda Pandit, that knowledge center where music, the stage, the drama, theater, everything originated out of there. So what's your take on that? And I think a lot of people I talk to in general in our community have always stayed connected to music. It has healed them in some way. And what has been music's role in your life?
Music I personally am someone very, very close to music. I mean, especially to Kashmiri music. It has, because I grew up on my very impressionable years were spent in Srinagar. And my mother is very musically inclined, actually. She sings, and her sisters also sing. So our daily ritual was listening to Radio Kashmir in the morning. So it was a daily Zunadab, and then this Farmaish that used to come and all that. So I have very strong memories. Very early when I had moved to Colorado, and I was a young bride, and I had just finished my college here, my master's degree, and I was a young bride. I'd just gotten married. I heard Kailash Mehra had, was visiting United States. I put heaven and earth together, even though I was, I really hadn't set my feet here that much. I put heaven and earth together to invite her to my house and hold a small, little home concert with her. Yes. And why that was so important was because I was in Denver. And if you remember, because you are part of the music, the source of all Kashmiri music at that time, Pandit Shambhunath Sopuri, the family I know very well. Pandit Shambhunath Sopuri lived in Denver those days with his younger son, who is a brilliant tabla player, and his older son also plays brilliant sitar. That family, as you know, is so, and of course Bhajan Sopuri, their youngest son. So I was able to showcase Shambhunath ji, Pandit Shambhunath Sopuri, and his disciple Kailash Mehra ji together. I think I have the video recording of this, and I'll be happy to share it with koshurRAAG. That is the last time the celebrated guru and disciple have ever come together, and Kailash ji sang and he played sitar.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I want to say this is year 2004. Wonderful. So that's how much I have been involved. And then everything about music, my old memories about music. I wrote a story once, it's called Lotus Root in Houston. And it ends on, I'll be happy to share it with you later, and you can share it with your audience. It's a very personal story, and it is about finding Nadur, lotus roots. Now Nadur, thanks to the movie, everyone knows what Nadur is. Finding lotus roots in Kashmir, in Houston, running after my mother and I, we call it hunting for Nadur. Yeah. And my mother always saying that this Nadur is not as good. Nadur. This Nadur is not as good as Kashmir. She never found anything as good as Koshur Nadur. Nothing was as good as Kashmiri Nadur. And the story ends with, it's a real thing, my mother singing a Kashmiri song and cooking that Nadur, and in thousands of miles away from our home. And that, to me, at that moment, it hit me that this is who we are. Thousands of miles away here, she's cooking Nadur, and she is singing Vijay Mala's song, Kavo Chukme Trevit Salan Tatiyaro. Kavo Chukme Vadas Dalan Tatiyaro. That moment was so poignant for me that I wanted to nab it and grab it. And that's why I wrote that story. So we have expressed ourselves through music all along. Our weddings, for example, Sangeet is a relatively new tradition now in this thing, but our Manzrat it was all musical. We used to look forward to, more than the wedding, it was the Manzrat that we were looking forward. We all looked forward to. Absolutely. And everyone sang. And our kind of music is so different and so precious, and it smells of the mountains and the rivers and everything that we stand for. So I think our experience, and after 1990, I think the music that has come across, not as much as I would have liked to, because people were just so worried about standing on their own feet, but the lyrics and everything that I have seen that have come across are really a reflection of who we are. They talk about our pain, they talk about our lost home, they talk about, and in a way, it connects to the last person in the line. See, I can do all the in the best of the places, I can sit and do my politicking, or I can go to the best of think tanks and I can do all my think tanking. But what one song can do, it's unbelievable. It just puts us, it just joins us all together. And that's why I'm here today, because I think we are all connected with music, and we should remain connected to music. We have our musical tradition, as I explained, has survived the toughest and the cruelest Islamic invasion right from the 13th, 14th century. Now it is incumbent on us that we survive it, we preserve it, and hand it over to the generation next to us so that it doesn't get lost.
Absolutely.
Varkar.
Thank you so much, Sunanda ji, and over back to CPG.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sunanda ji. A pleasure listening to you, and we will talk again. Thanks once again. Our next artist was supposed to be Krisha Bhatt. Krisha Bhatt, the youngest artist, she's 15 years old and resides in Jaipur, India. Unfortunately, Krisha is not feeling well today, but we hope to bring her on our next show. Krisha, if you're watching, get well soon, beta, and we will, at the pan, we'll take a rain check and we will hear you soon. Thank you so much. Next, Anjali ji. Thank you so much for waiting so patiently so long. We wanted to change it a little bit here, Anjali ji. I want to start off by saying what you have done, what you have been doing is amazing and beyond what anybody else can do. For people who don't know, Anjali ji has been speaking at every platform that she has been given an opportunity. She's been fighting for justice for her dad. So I don't know how you do it, right, Anjali ji? I have to read what you gave me to read, and I am trying to gather myself together, but we are going to save you that pain today. And really, in Kashmiri, a tight nalmut to you, and I will try to do justice to read what you wrote. Anjali ji's father, an accounts officer in Jammu and Kashmir Industries, was brutally murdered on 24th June 1990 by Islamic militants in the name of their religion and a free Kashmir agenda. Anjali's dad was kidnapped from Srinagar, their ancestral home, in broad daylight, while he settled himself for lunch. A day before his murder, he had prepared yellow rice. We call it tahar, for his brother's birthday. The Islamic jihadis tortured her father with cigarette burns, slit his throat, shot him with bullets, and then cut his body in pieces and left it in a gunny bag on Dr. Ali Jan Road near Sohra Medical Institute. Irony, she and her family didn't get to do the last rites, and her father was only 46. This story is a slap on the faces of everyone who says that Kashmir Files is based on lies. Anjali ji, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a roller coaster ride for you, I know. Reliving it every day, every moment. More power to you. What would you like to say to those people that I just said, say that this movie is all lies and it is just a propaganda?
First of all, thank you, Swapna ji, for the introduction and talking on my behalf today. And koshurRAAG for giving me this opportunity to be on this group today to talk, discuss. So my message to everyone who still say it's a propaganda, I would ask them humbly to please go and watch the movie first. And if you need to talk to people who have gone through this genocide or who have been victim of terrorists, talk to them. And then you can understand their pain. And I don't think then you will question on whether it's a propaganda or it's false or it's like fiction. It's just, it's not fact. That's my humble message to everyone who still calls it jhuti kahani, propaganda, victim collaborators. So I have heard all that. I see that on social media, Twitter, all time, every day. So that is my message to everyone.
And for the audience, Anjali ji's story, I did mention late Sri Chamanlal Kaulji, your dad. Just peace be to his soul and our humble respects there. It's just one of the hundreds of stories, right? And still, if they don't understand now, I don't know what is, then I would say, like, there's no humanity there, and they will continue to say what they say, and we will continue to spread the facts and the information, the correct information. Living out of India, since we are on koshurRAAG, right? We're talking about culture and heritage. Let's try to brighten your day a bit and bring a smile. What have you been doing to keep the culture alive and kind of take it further and maintain it in the family for yourself and for your kids? And let's start there, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Swapna ji, and thank you for asking that. So first and foremost, I do believe in language. So that is what I have kept alive in my home. And I think I should give credit to my husband, who I would say 75% credit to him, because he's the one who was very particular about I have two kids, of course, grown-up adults now, that they should talk in Kashmiri. And what we used to do, initially we used to give them, like how you do with the kids, chocolate, you talk to me in this language. But after some time, we realized that, we need to kind of be very, a little more strict, even though as a parent, we hate to say that, because there is an age group like 3 to 5 when they get confused between too many languages. And I still remember when my son was doing preschool and he was in like pre-K and then kindergarten, he used to mix Kashmiri and English. Sometimes his teachers used to tell us, what is your son saying? There are a few words we don't understand. So we went through that phase, which was like a little hard for us, I would say between 3 and 5. But like I said, my husband has been very particular in keeping the language alive. And I'm very proud to say that both my kids speak Kashmiri very fluently. And when they meet any Kashmiri like Swapna ji or anyone whom they know, they will talk. My daughter does know Kashmiri. She speaks Kashmiri, but she's a little shy, more than my son, but they both speak Kashmiri. That is first thing. Then the second thing is, of course, is art, like any form of art, whether it's music or it's dance. And they both are like doing something in that. And then above all is keeping the festivals, performing all the good festivals which we traditionally do, like Shivratri. I do celebrate, like I do buy akhroat or walnuts like in the month of December, because I know that by the time of Shivratri comes, there are no akhroat or like walnuts in the shelves. Then you have to keep thinking of where to buy them. I do Guard Bath, which is like not every Kashmiri family does. Most of the Kashmiri family do Guard Bath. We do celebrate one. And of course, like Janmashtami, I make Krishna Jola and all other festivals. And I also, for a long time, even before when I was like, I think 4th grader, I started doing Ashtami, but that was like because I wanted to eat that, like kahwa and potatoes, like tilitholo, right? Fried potato. Like after I continued Ashtami, I still do it. And my kids, they know that on the day of Ashtami, they ask me, when is Ashtami? Are we supposed to eat on this day or not? Because they are very well aware of all those things. So this is my opinion. This is what we have kept all these things alive. And I feel very proud to say that I feel very proud in doing these things.
Amazing. And I think you gave 75% of credit to your husband. I think you should give 1,000% credit to your kids to keep up with it. And every time I talk to your son, it just warms my heart and brings a big smile. And I always say, tight nalmut to you. So you guys have done an amazing job. it's I see Pavneesh coming here, but one question before I hand it over to you, Pavneesh, here is that Kashmir Files, watching it, what did it mean for you, and what has it done for you? I know if you look at this, just a few words, but it's a huge question. So if you had to sum it up, what would you say?
Yes, I would take a step back and talk about Kashmir Files when Vivek ji and Pallavi ji, they were touring US in 2019, and we got to know they are going to, when I agreed, like I will talk about, my personal story. And I had no idea that they will come to our house and will, and talk to us and be part of like kind of a family that time. And it was like, it's a dream come true when you have some Bollywood actor, actress, or director coming to your house. And that is, first of all, you are like in a disbelief, is that going to happen? And when they came and they started, after getting settled, having little snack and all that. So they started talking, and it was like a very casual talk. And when they started, asking me questions like in front of the camera, because they have that recorded for the documentary whenever they are going to do it. That is the first time I felt like there is a hope. Someone is talking to me and giving me some kind of comfort, listening to me, and not listening for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It was like almost a 3-hour interview, and very casual, not like, okay, you are under stress or something. I had no script in front of me. I was just answering the questions, what happened, like, relaying everything from the time Exodus started and or genocide started, and the time when my father went through all this, when we went through all these tragedies. But after, this movie came out, the Kashmir Files, I was the part of screening. We did see the, when there was impact when at the screening in December in Houston, and ours was, I think, the final grand finale in Houston. When I went, of course, I was the part of that, voluntary group. But when I went inside the theater to watch, my first reaction, I had hope that it will be all good, but my heart was pounding. I was palpitating. I was like, I don't know whether it was like 130, my pulse was going so high, but not because I was scared of something, but it was like kind of impact. So after watching the movie, I felt like I got some kind of solace, comfort. Yeah. And I felt like Vivek ji has done full justice to the movie, and whatever he has heard from the, or whatever he could do in those 3 hours, because the movie is 2 hours, 50 minutes long, whatever he could do, everything, each and every minute or each and every piece of the movie is true. And he has done full justice.
Absolutely. And we had the honor of having Vivek ji and Pallavi ji on koshurRAAG before it released. And I recall, because of my personal interaction with them, I said, I'm going to introduce you to as awesome human beings, because that's what they came across as, and that's what I felt. Pavneesh, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Anjali ji, for being part of koshurRAAG's event today, and knowing that you have been on our show earlier as a singer as well. How important music was for you going through that healing process, as also going through that suffering. If you could throw some light on that.
Music has been very close to my heart. Always, like from my childhood. I would just like to mention my mother, when she was studying in Kashmiri University, she used to learn music, and she's I don't know, it has been a long time and she has not touched any harmonium or star, but she's a star player, she's a harmonium player. So she used to, on the radio programs, because it was mostly radio in the morning, there was like every time there were all songs being, on the radio. So she used to sing along with those, and it was always in my, back of my mind. I'm a huge fan of music. I have not any, formal training or anywhere, but music has been very, it has helped me healing. I listen to the music, of course, whenever I get a chance. But whenever I'm very depressed, anxious, whenever I'm very sad, I listen to some songs which feel, give me some kind of soothing. I would like to mention one thing definitely. In 2009, I was very emotionally attached with my grandfather. He passed. I think I went back to that PTSD. I used to see a neurologist. So it was like it's a long story. I don't want to create any mention anything like horrific or something here. But what I used to do, the only time which I had for me was like when I used to work out during that time. After I got better, because I was hospitalized few times, it was because of like all that happenings, whatever going on. I think it was coming back to me, what had happened in 1990 with my father. So knowingly, unknowingly, subconsciously, it was coming to me. So while doing the workout, I was just crying. And that was the only time when I was all by myself on a treadmill and listening to one was some kind of a Deshbhakti Geet, and another one was the Jagjit Singh's Shri Jagjit Singh's song, which is like Chithi Na Koi Sandesh. Because I would not say like at that time it was like something which I was because I felt like I was depressed at that time because my grandfather's passing and my like all these events like coming back. So I used to hear that, where he says चिट्ठी ना कोई संदेश जाने कौन से देश जहाँ तुम चले एक आह बरी होगी हमने ना सुनी होगी जाते. And when I used to hear that, those two lines, those 30 minutes or 40 minutes I was on treadmill, I was listening to this and just crying. But after that I realized, no, I need to little come out of this. I was of course seeking the help and I was on medication. And then I went back to my, because music always has been giving me relief, soothing, and whatever Kashmiri music, it doesn't matter. Like I love Lataji songs, I love Yashoda's songs, I love whatever gives me soothing. I used to that has helped me healing. But I want the only thing I wanted to mention, like because of this all events like 2009, what happened, I was like kind of stuck on that one song and like crying. But music, overall music has helped me healing.
Wonderful, that's great. Maybe we can ask you to hum a couple of lines if that's okay, because we know you have been in the program earlier in koshurRAAG events, but maybe just 2 lines of something that you would like to hum for us today.
Kashmiri is okay, Kashmiri?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, again, I'm not a, मैंने कहीं से music सीखा नहीं है. It's just like few lines which I want to say.
Please, it will be our pleasure.
अरनी रंगों श्रावण हिए करो ये दर्शन दिए अरनी रंगों श्रावण हिए करो ये दर्शन दिए कंद नाबद आरद मोते फंद करे सोलम कोते कंद नाबद आरद मोते फंद करे सोलम कोते खंद करनम लूकन थिए करो ये दर्शन दिए अरनी रंगों श्रावण हिए करो ये दर्शन दिए. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anjali ji. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Pavneesh ji,
it's over to you.
It's over to you now.
Okay.
Before you take over, thank you everybody for joining, and all yours, Pavneesh. Thank you, Pavneesh.
As I always said, that there are times when we have to look at things from a different perspective. This ghazal originally sung by Chitra Singh ji, किसी रंजिश को हवा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. All you need to do is मैं जिंदा नहीं, हमारी community जिंदा है. And the ghazal's meaning will change for all of you. And I want you to take you all on this journey of understanding this ghazal with a new perspective. So without further ado. किसी रंजिश को हवा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. किसी रंजिश को हवा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. मुझको एहसास दिला दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. मेरे रुकने से मेरी सांसें भी रुक जाएंगी. मेरे रुकने से मेरी सांसें भी रुक जाएंगी. फासले और बढ़ा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. मुझको एहसास दिला दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. जहर पीने की तो आदत थी ज़माने वालों. जहर पीने की तो आदत थी ज़माने वालों. अब कोई और दवा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. चलती राहों में यूं ही आँख लगी है फाकिर. चलती राहों में यूं ही आँख लगी है फाकिर. भीड़ लोगों की हटा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. किसी रंजिश को हवा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. मुझको एहसास दिला दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. Thank you so much.
Thank you. just one. I don't know. I have to jump in. अब ना बुझेगी ये है मशाल. अब ना बुझेगी ये एक मशाल. जलेगी अब तो करोड़ों में. नया इतिहास रचा है. युगों से सोए थे जगाया है हमें इस कश्मीर फाइल्स ने. Again, Ruby Jen, thank you so much for beautiful words. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Swapna ji for taking us through the event today. But I know Rakshit, our young koshurRAAG team member, all the way from Jammu. And of course, we'll hand it over to OPG as well. So over to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pavneesh ji. And I know we are running over a bit over the clock now. But I wanted to take a quick moment and thank all our esteemed speakers we had this morning. Bhasha Sumbli from all the way from Jammu, Surinder Kaul, Sunanda Vashisht, Anjali Raina, all three of them from Houston, Texas. And our super talented singers, right? Sniti Mishra, Archana. And I know Krisha could not be with us. She wasn't feeling well at the last minute, so we had to drop her off, but I'm sure we will have her back on in many events. And also, last but not the least, wanted to thank all of you, Swapna, Raina, Wali, Pavneesh Madan ji, Arvin Mattoo, he's supported us all the way from Noida, India this morning. And Rakshit, thank you so much for all your support from Jammu. And thank you so much. And thank you, our audience have been very supportive all along, right, from the last couple of years. And enjoy. It's good night in India and good day here in US. Until we see you next time. And thank you so much, everyone, for being with us this morning. Thank you so much.